What's up, YouTube? This is MTGChief here with a budget deck tech for Meren of Clan Nel Toth. First and foremost, everybody has different perspectives and perceptions of what a budget is. For me, this deck cost $380, just around that, when I first made it at the beginning of fall of 2016, so less than a year ago. I'm sure some of these have adjusted in prices, whether that's TCG, eBay, whatever it is you might use. But Meren is a 2015 commander who goes off of the experience counters, much like Azuri and Deaxos. But what's special about her, she's the 4-cost 3/4, and whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. And at the beginning of your end step, you choose a creature card from your graveyard, and if that has a converted mana cost equal to or less than the number of experience counters you have, you can return that to the battlefield directly. If it is more than the number of experience counters, it can go into your hand. So no matter what, at your end step, you're getting something either onto the battlefield immediately again that you just utilized, or you're reloading your hand. So let's get right into it. In this deck, we have 7 forest. Alright. We have 8 swamps. We have a Bojuka Bog to get rid of other people's graveyards, and it taps for a 9th swamp. We have quite a few duels here, so I won't read through them all, but I'll try to at least show them. If you'd like to pause it, you're more than welcome to, obviously, but I don't want to make this too long of a video. Love the art on Golgari Guildgate. And of course we have Command Tower, High Market, which allows us to tap and sack a creature to gain a life. Myriad Landscape, which you can sack and get 2 basic lands for, but if you're needing one of any mana, you can go ahead and grab that. Temple of the False God, so 4 lands with this one, and you can get 2 additional mana for the pool. We have 2 fetch lands, so we have Windswept Heath and we have Polluted Delta, 1 for forest and 1 for swamp. Then of course we have Urborg to get swamps from all of our lands. Of course we run a little bit swamp heavy, you'll see that especially excuse me, in the sorceries and in the enchantments, and in a few creatures, but this is a good card overall as well. Probably should look into adding some Swamp Walk, but we can get into that later. And then Dark Depths. So it comes in with 10 ice counters. You can tap 3 lands, remove an ice counter from this. When all of them are removed, you get a 20/20 flying indestructible. Yeah, so no big deal. And of course we have Soul Ring, Golgari Signet, and Vedalken Orrery. So everything non-land has flash. One of the more broken equipment artifacts here, costs 1, equips 1. The creature gets +1 +1 -1. Whenever equipped creature dies, you draw 2 cards. So you can literally kill off a creature. This will stay out onto the battlefield. You can put a counter on Meren, or you can put an experience counter out with Meren on the field, draw 2 cards, immediately equip, and repeat the process to reload your hand. Really, really great. Lightning Greaves, we have a few things we'd like to have. Haste, so can't really go wrong with 2 cost, 0 equip. And Shroud. And then Birthing Pod, which essentially another sack outlet for us, a little costly, but you can utilize your life total, which should be a weapon for you in Magic. You should not be afraid to lose a little bit of life especially if it's as rewarding as this. You pay 1 and either a green or 2 life, sack a creature when you tap it. You search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to the sacrifice creature's mana cost plus 1. Then you put that onto the battlefield. Shuffle your library. It's a sorcery speed. If it was instant, it would be completely broken and probably banned. But this card is phenomenal. Then we have our instants. So for a swamp, we have Entomb. Search your library for a card, put it into the graveyard. We want things in the graveyard with Meren. Constant Mists. Fog with buyback. Abrupt Decay. Can't be countered by spells or abilities. Destroy target non-land permanent. Really cheap, swamp in a forest. Early game, you can set the tone a little bit and control the board like you want to do. We have a lot of enter the battlefield triggers, a lot of sack triggers. So we can really start getting that rolling. If someone has a few extra or low mana curve on their end, we go ahead and we assist and get rid of their things. Sorceries, we have Killing Wave. Really great late game. I highly recommend that you save that for late game if at all possible. Life from the Loan. Target land cards from graveyard into your hand and you can dredge. Diabolic Intent. Another sack outlet, and you search your library for a card. It's Diabolic Tutor with sack outlet. Perfect. Primal Growth. It's a mana ramp with a sack outlet. So instead of just 1, when you go ahead and sack a creature, you can get 2. Put them right in play and use them right away. Victimize. 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Then you sack a creature and you return those cards to the battlefield tapped. But of course you like it because we have a lot of enter the battlefield triggers. Buried Alive, you find 3 cards in your library and you put them in your graveyard and then you shuffle. And you return one of them, or you return whichever one you want for your end step because of Meren. Black Sun Zenith, I think most people would want to run this for removal with black. Genesis Wave, so you reveal the top X cards of your library, and you may put any number of permanent cards with a converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. This deck has a pretty low mana curve. We say probably 4, maybe 5, but there's a lot of value in this, even if you're just doing an additional 3. If you can pump 4, like with Temple of the False God, or you had a return land, bounce land, then this is perfect. Living Death, set aside all creatures in graveyards, then put all creatures in play into a graveyard, and then you take all creatures and put them onto the battlefield. And then Decree of Pain has cycling. When you cycle it, all creatures get -2/-2, but for 6 and 2 swamp, you can destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated, and then you get to draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. So a little black draw engine. For enchantments, we have Tutored Existence, Swamp, and then for another swamp, you can choose and discard a creature card, return target creature card from graveyard to hand. Evolutionary Leap, another sack outlet. You can reveal cards from the top of your library until you get a creature card, then you put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. Defense of the Heart. This one's a little broken. During your upkeep, if one of your opponents control 3 or more creatures, you sack it, you get 2 creatures, and you put them right into play. And they're ready to go. And of course, you want to get stuff that if at all possible, has enter or sack triggers to really start putting pressure on your opponents. Grave Pact, 1 and 3 black. Whenever a creature is put into any graveyard that we control, each other player sacks a creature. So, you know, this card with any of the enter triggers or sack triggers is just absolute overkill. Dictate of Erebos, flash, and whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. And then, of course, Lurking Predators. The only 2 Planeswalkers we have are Liliana Heretical Healer, because we're sacking stuff, and so we know that she'll turn over and she creates a zombie. And then, of course, on the other side, you can make people discard their hand, so you have card advantage, or you can return a creature card with mana cost X from the graveyard to the battlefield, or you can get an emblem. Whenever a creature dies, you return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. And our second Planeswalker is Gyurk, Primal Hunter. He's great because he gives us sack outlets. You can draw cards, and you can put a giant worm token onto the battlefield for each land we control, not just each forest. So, all around versatility. We will go ahead and get into creatures. This is the section that, you know, I'll just be like staple. I'll try to pause so you can pause it yourself and read if you'd like. I'll point out some real noticeable ones. This is obviously one of my personal favorites. Sack and Scry. Little artifact and enchantment hate. A little mana ramp, or get some in your hand. Some more mana ramp. Draw. Fauna Shaman is a phenomenal card. For 1 and 1 green, and then for a green you can tap and discard a creature card. And then you can search your library for a creature card. So if you start your hand with a fatty, or a bunch of fatties, but you have this, you can keep it, and you can put those in your graveyard and get some stuff you really need. Start controlling the board early, and then you can really get to work, you know, getting Meren out there. So if you're low on mana or something, you know, go for mana ramp. If people are putting pressure on you early, or someone's like running in factor or anything for some reason, you know, you can really hit them with the sack triggers. So many people hate this card. I do run a few cards that many people hate, and I don't even really like seeing. And when I exile something, I expect it to stay there. This doesn't do that. I know you probably see the mana cost. Shriekmaw, we really go for the evoke cost because we want it to enter, and then we want it to go right to the graveyard to give us an experience counter. But it kills a creature, non-black, non-artifact on the way out. This should be a staple, I think, in any Meren deck, because whenever it or another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain 1. And that can get out of hand with a few other cards we have in here. Some more artifact enchantment hate. Very creature heavy. So Vampire Hexmage, basically we have this in here as a sack outlet. And to get that early turn 3 2020 flying indestructible. A little bit of mana ramp, but for forests especially. A little artifact enchantment hate. 2 sack outlets that you can do, you know, on your tokens, on things you don't really need, or on itself. Eternal Witness. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. That is the important piece. Just any target card. Creekwood Lage, just giving +1/+1s, generating 3/3 tokens on your upkeep. Just a great card. Disciple of Bolas. When it enters, you can sack a creature and you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. So a draw engine and a life gainer. And experience counter gainer. Bloodspore Thrinax, you can devour. And then as soon as you get those +1/+1 counters on it, each creature that enters the battlefield under our control gets X +1/+1s, where X is the number of counters on Bloodspore. Necrotic Ooze has all all activated abilities of all creature cards in all graveyards. We'll get to a combo with that later. Colitis, Trader of Get. Self-explanatory. Sabra. You can pay life, have people sack creatures, or we gain life. Gerard's a beast. You should pause and contemplate why you would not have him in this deck. Acidic Slime, some more artifact, enchantment, or even land hate. I like the versatility there. So Myocloth also has Devour, and then creates Saproling tokens for each 1/1 counter on him. Archfiend of Depravity, pretty good. Phyrexian Plague Lord, probably something I might replace. I believe it's Ghost Tree. I might be misremembering, but still a decent card. In any other deck, most people would be very iffy of running this, but the exploit and Death Touch is perfect for Meren. And when you exploit, you search your library for a card. Mazarek, just when you start sacking things, you want Mazarek out, because everything else is going to get a +1/+1, and then you're going to start drawing more cards, sacking more creatures, gaining more life, etc. It's just going to be way more accelerated with Mazarek on the board. We have Triskelion. When it enters the battlefield, it has 3 1/1 counters on it. You can remove a 1/1 counter and deal 1 damage to target creature or player. And Phyrexian Devourer. If its power is 7 or greater, bury it. For 0, you can remove the top card of your library from the game to put +X counter on Phyrexian Devourer, where X is equal to that card's casting cost. And real quick, that is the combo right there. That is later game to get things really done and over with. You have Necrotic Ooze on the battlefield, Triskelion and Phyrexian Devourer in the graveyard, and you just start milling yourself and removing those counters that you get on Necrotic Ooze thanks to Devourer, and you just start pinging people. And then we have Avenger of Zendikar, Runescarred Demon, a flying tutor. Butcher of Malakir is another one with Blood Artist. Whenever it or another creature dies, each opponent sacks a creature. Then we're gaining life, and we're gaining an absurd amount of life. They're losing even more life. So just triggers on the stack. Terastodon, destroy 3 target non-creature permanents. So we can focus on, mana ramp, land, artifacts, equipments, whatever we really need. everything else is making them sack creatures, so this is in here for the versatility of the other. And then, of course, Ulamog. When you really just need something to, get rid of some more permanents and start milling them to just put another added pressure on them. A great card. I pulled 2 of these. This is also in a mill deck of with Phoenix, God of Deception. So that is the Marit budget deck. Again, she is in a deck that cost about $380. I'm a huge fan of this. It runs smooth. It plays well in most metas. If you're in a meta that's going off like turn 2, 3, depending on how fast she's going, turn 4, you might want to put a little bit more money into this to make it faster. But aside from that, this is an excellent deck for the money that I paid for it. Again, it's about a year old. But overall, it's run great for me. I'd love to see in the comments some talk about what I could do to make this better. And I'd really appreciate the support for, a like, a share, subscribe. But overall, just let me know what y'all think of this, what I could add, what I could take away, and, let's make each other better. Again, this is MTGChief signing off with my budget Meren of Clan Nel Toth deck tech for Commander EDH. Thanks for watching.